La 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 la. The shirt is blue and you can't tell. Fuck. I could have just worn a black shirt. I'll fix it in post. I'll fix everything in post. Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Sucias. I'm Gaio. I've got to do some house cleaning. So in my previous episode, the fuck did I call it? Female friends and something else. I still stand on, generally speaking, men and women cannot be friends. There are exceptions to every rule and some caveats. For me, as a former intercourse addict, I do have female friends. Now, this isn't an excuse for me to be able to have female friends, just that it's not even friends. And I don't want to downgrade you. I don't want you to feel like you're less than. But most of my female friends, air quotes, are female acquaintances. I mean, what is a friend, though? That's something we need to define. What's the difference between a friend and an acquaintance? Someone that you're friendly with. I would say a friend is someone that you can go to their house unannounced and walk right in, or at the very least, show up unannounced and be welcomed. Everyone else is an acquaintance, an associate, something. I don't know. I think that's a good metric. But with the house cleaning thing is I got flack for it because, messages. Oh, so you only want me for sex, or you only want to be my friend to fuck my friends. And it's a case by case basis. But for the most part, if you and I have not already had sex, I am not interested in having sex with you. There's like maybe 5 exceptions to that. And it was just been one of those, hey, for the past 10, 15, 20 years, we've never been single at the same time or in the same time zone. But with them, we have already talked about the dirty, vile, fun things that we want to do to each other. So, yes, I flirt a lot. All the time. I'm just always flirting. But I don't mean it as, hey, you want to fuck. It's more of, I'm keeping this skill sharp for whenever I do want to fuck someone. Most of these women that I'm friends with, you're just too vanilla for me. Like, that's just it. We've had conversations, or I've heard you have conversations with others, and the things you're open to, or actually you're closed to, like that you won't do, you won't try, are like baseline. Like at the very least, well, I'm not being shy about it. All 3 holes got to be open. Sure, there's other things we could do, but tying you up takes time. I have to go pull out the rope. I have to make sure the rope is still good. Got to make sure there's anchor points wherever you're at. There's a lot of work into the kink stuff that doesn't just happen immediately, not as quickly as you can with sex. So yeah, you're the most annoying thing, because in these conversations, and they try to convince me why I would be lucky to have them in bed or to hook up with them or whatever. The conversations are predictable because I've had this conversation many times. Most girls think that they're unique and that they're special. And individualistically, yes, on a certain level, they are unique and special. But when it comes to sex, saying that you've never had complaints about X, Y, or Z is not the flex you think it is. I mean, if you get your order wrong at Mickey D's, do you go complain about it? I mean, it's still Mickey D's. It's still decent food that has something wrong that wasn't prepared the way you want it, but you still eat it. Most people usually do this. Very few people complain about the food or will complain about bad service. I am the type of person that will go up to the counter and complain about whatever the problem is. I do not accept mediocrity. I will not accept poor service. And I'll make it clear, I'm not going to be an asshole about it. It's not their fault that X, Y, or Z happened, or they could be having a bad moment and don't realize that they can define it as a moment versus a day. So they see that they're having a bad day, everything's going to shit, and they're in a bad mood. I try to help or fix that by telling them, hey, I'm not mad at you. I'm not frustrated with you. I just don't like that this wasn't made properly. Can you remake it for me, please? Thank you. And depending on the interaction, sometimes I'll get either a full refund, a partial refund, or extra food. I'll make them remake the entire order. Like, hey, look, these 2 things are wrong. The other food is already cold. Make me everything new. And it's usually not an issue because I'm not an asshole about it. I could be, but then what is that going to do? So using that analogy, if I'm not going to tolerate mediocre or badly prepared food, why would I accept mediocre sex? Or a better way to put it, if you have men in your past that keep trying to see you, and that still is technically not a flex because it depends on how you broke up with them. Because I would guarantee you, not guarantee, I'd be willing to bet $20 with you, listener, that if you have an ex-boyfriend in your past that keeps wanting to see you or having excuses to message you every few months, every few years, or whenever they see that you are single on your social media, I would bet that you broke up with them and the last time you both had sex was at least a week or more before the breakup, and he was definitely not aware that that was going to be the last time you had sex. So it could be that your sex is good, but it could also be we didn't have sex one last time. I want to get you out of my system. And to do that, I need to fuck you, like grudge fuck you, whatever. Now, if you have a guy that reaches out to you every so often and says, man, I miss your head game. I miss the way that you rode me, some specific sex act that they want to partake in with you again, that is a flex. But very few women have that skill, have that ability. And I've already talked about this in one of my early episodes. I want to say within the first 5, it was titled No Complaints and ... or something. I was trying to be funny with my early episodes and kind of make them like Doctor Strange or How I Learned to Love the Bomb, blah, 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 all that. So that was kind of my idea with titling my early episodes. Long story short, if you are a female and we've known each other for years, when I message you and make anything that sounds sexual or flirtatious or whatever, I'm not trying to sleep with you. I'm just practicing my flirting muscle, flexing my flirting muscles. I'm just keeping that skill in practice. What the fuck was I going to talk about this week? Oh, why the mask or why the hat/mask? The reason for this is to just make it harder for face detection algorithm to find me. I'm not giving out my image and likeness out so freely anymore. I'm going to do a Reddit post. This is by Kate_780 in the subreddit Ask Men Advice. Have you ever regret letting a good woman go? Let's say you meet a girl on a dating site and we're talking to her for a year or so, and during that time, she took interest in your life and tried to support you the best way that she could. However, you had baggage that you were struggling with at the time, and as a result, didn't treat her as well as you could have, and failed to appreciate her the way she deserved. She didn't want to give up on you, but got to a point she knew she had to move on, as she deserved to be with someone who lifted her up rather than bringing her down all the time. Fast forward a year when you both moved on with your lives and haven't spoken. Does anything make you reflect on how you treated that particular girl and regret not committing to her when you had the chance? I'm just wondering whether any of you have experienced something like this. Yes, I have. Although it wasn't identical to this. We weren't talking for a year. One good woman that I let go was my first wife. I was young and dumb and had this firm idea or belief that as a married man, I'm going to get laid every day for the rest of my life. At the very least, every other day. And I told my wife this from day one, like when we were dating. Hey, I'm going to get laid every day. You can be a part of that if you want to, but I'm having sex every day. Ha 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 ha. She thought I was joking. Took her fucking almost 10 years to realize that I was not. Even though she caught me cheating, or not necessarily caught. She'd find out that I cheated on her weeks or months later when this girl would find me somehow and want to see me again. Yeah, she never caught me with the woman. It was always after the fact, like something would come up. The only one that was similar to this situation, to Kate_780, was a girl that I was talking to online after my wife passed away. We went on a few dates, and she'd come to see me out in Reno a few times. I went back to San Antonio to see her, and on one of the times she visited, we were about to go out somewhere, and she kind of caught me off guard. She'd said something to the effect of,
I don't know if you know this, but I love you, And I know you don't feel it. You don't have to say it. I just have to let you know that I feel this.
And I was kind of like a deer in headlights in the moment. And it was in the first year after my wife passed away. So, one, I still had a lot of guilt of seeing other women within that year. Even though it was my coping mechanism, I still felt guilt about it. Her saying that reminded me, oh shit, I'm air quotes cheating on my wife, the one I loved. Ah, fuck, that sounds bad. I love my first wife too. Just, I was young and dumb, an addict, and would come up with any excuse to be able to cheat on her. My second wife, I'd gone through some shit to fix myself, to be better for her. So I actually felt guilt for cheating on my second wife. But on top of that, her saying,
I know you don't feel the same for me.
and in that split second, I was like, wait a minute, maybe I think I do, that I feel these feelings I have for you, this guilt I have is because I have these feelings for you, because I love you as well. These past few months, we've gotten to know each other. We, have a lot of things that mesh, but at the same time, I'm of the firm belief that I'm not going to get into a monogamous ish relationship with anyone without having dated them for a year to see how they're like throughout the whole year. So there was that. So I had this epiphany that I did love her, this guilt that I'm cheating on my wife, and then the Mexican machismo, the Mexican kind of pride that how dare you speak for me without knowing, who I am or without knowing what I actually feel. It's like, all right, fine. I don't love you. I'm not going to say it. Fuck you. We eventually just kind of lost touch. Didn't text her as much. She didn't text me as much and just kind of let things fall by the wayside because of pride on my end. So, yeah, I do regret letting her slip through. At the same time, we still keep in touch every 6-ish months. We'll have a conversation or a text message. Hey, I saw this, reminded me of you, whatnot. And now she's aware of that feeling that I had when she said, I love you to me. We had a conversation about it, and she was upset that I didn't tell her then. We could have been together since then, blah, 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 all this other stuff. But in a sense, she's almost too good for me. There's a Netflix show, I think it's called The Serpent. Basically, a guy from crap. He was a serial killer in Southeast Asia. I want to say either Vietnam or Thailand or something. She's very sensitive, very emotionally sensitive. And she didn't like the show and didn't like that I was kind of feeding off of it, that it resonated with me. She and I would not work well together, be good as a couple, because there's too much of a taint of evil in me that I enjoy. Fuck, where was I going with that? The point is, I don't want to be a bad person. I still want to be the good person that my wife saw in me. But I do need some evil in my life because I would probably snap if I were with that one girl that is very nice. It's very good, very sweet, very doting. But at the same time, I feel like I couldn't be myself. Like I'd have to be a version of myself to not have her fear me. Maybe that's why I pushed her away, because I knew, something I think about. Anyways, thanks for listening. I love you. You are worthy of it. Till next time, besos.